We're going to call the meeting of the Solid Waste Management Authority into order. Please take the roll.
Commissioner Tompkins.
Here.
Commissioner Short.
I'm here.
Commissioner Greeno.
Here.
Chair Wilson.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. And we will now ask for any public comment. Is there anyone that wishes to make any public comment on any issue on or off the calendar? The agenda for today. Seeing none. Okay. We will now go into closed session. Thank you.
reportable action out of the closed session.
Thank you.
And that'll bring us to the open session, regular session of the Delaware Solid Waste Management is called back into order. And again, we have opportunity for public comment. Does anyone need to come forward for public? Seeing none, hearing none, we will move forward. At this time, we'll have the Abandoned Vehicle Abatement Service Authority come forward and give us a status report regarding the activities of the Del Norte Abandoned Vehicle Abatement Service for both the fourth quarter.
I believe you have
think
to
at this point
adjourn and then re-adjourn.
right.
Just be for the third quarter, Supervisor Wilson. Fourth quarter is a little premature. I prepared it, but still have some more calculations to do. So, but the county abated 10 vehicles during that time. We've been very busy in this fourth quarter. Numbers are continuing to climb. A lot of RVs lately, so we'll be dealing with those in the very near future. But I have brought Brian Hicks here today with me, our new code enforcement officer, who is has been getting trained very well on the vehicle abatement process. So he's been very busy and active in doing that, and is now absorbing some cases on the code enforcement side and dealing with properties as well. So he's happy to be here. That's it for me.
So the 2.1 is just to receive and file the third quarter report for fiscal year 24-25, and the next item is review and approval of the AVA budget for the coming fiscal.
So
Any questions on the third quarter report?
I don't have a question on the report, but I was listening to the radio recently. Had a commercial come on for Cars for Kids, and I wasn't sure if that was something that a government entity could do, which was basically you call this nonprofit and they come and get your car, if it's inoperable or it operates, and they take it and they either, I don't know what they do with it, they sell it or junk it or whatever. And then the proceeds go to this nonprofit to help children, I'm assuming, called Cars for Kids, or it could be any number of nonprofits. Is that an avenue that we could explore as a?
I have heard of the program. I can look into that and see if that's something we can do. I'm not really sure at this time if we can or cannot, but I will look into that and see.
It may save us some money if, I mean, a nonprofit's going to put some of the cost.
Most definitely.
Habitat for Humanity is one of those entities.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll look into that.
Yeah, the only problem I know with a lot of those is you have to have title.
Oh,
If you don't have title on the item, and even though you can obtain title on a lot of these abandons, it takes time and effort.
Yeah.
And then it just becomes just a matter of worth your commitment to that to donate the car that's probably not even worth what you're spending to get it towed out of there.
The process that I went through and I tried was that they put out a bid to various people that are involved in that process, and if somebody bids on it, they will win that contract. They'll come and get the car, assuming, like you said, that it has a title. So it's a bidding process, and if nobody wants it, it doesn't happen.
Gotcha.
I did have a question for you, Ryan.
Yeah, Dan.
Looking at the report, the math isn't mathing, I guess. The third quarter, we did 7 cars. Fourth quarter, we did 18 cars. And for a similar towing bill, like third quarter was $1,600, fourth quarter was $1,730.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems as if we got quite a bit more cars done in the fourth quarter for essentially the same price as we did for 7 cars.
A lot of those,
Third quarter,
a
so-
lot of these prices come from pump fees and destruction of those RVs. There wasn't. We had some scenarios where tow companies were able to lien sale those vehicles, so it didn't result in us having to demo those
Oh,
RVs.
okay.
So that's kind of why the numbers
I
are.
did see where the pump fees was for like Roto-Rooter to come to deal with the RVs. I figured that was more expensive.
That's really all we use is Roto-Rooter to do a lot of our pumpings on those RVs. So
Yeah, I was just kind of wanting to kind of know the mechanics of what you had to go through to get these done, because we've seen in government where, you know, if you're a residential person doing the exact same thing, it's a piece of cake. Make it commercial or make it government, and you have to jump through all these hoops. So I was kind of curious if that kind of played into what you had to do here.
yeah, and depending on what areas, what zones we're towing from, those costs go up for us. If vehicles are being towed from Gasky or Smith River, Klamath, there are higher fees on that end of things. So that contributes to slighted numbers as well on dealing with vehicles.
Could we get a multi-unit discount if we all just went over to like the roof compound or the swamps?
I wish
There's
it would
18 of them in the
it would help
flats.
it would help my job tremendously, but no, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that. I just kind of wanting to bring light to why it seems like the numbers don't add up there. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
that's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? Nope. Then discussion of possible action regarding proposed budget for the Del Norte Abandoned Vehicle Abatement Service Authority for the 25-26 year.
I'll move we approve the budget.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Having none, please pull the vote.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Greeno,
Yes.
Chair Wilson, sorry.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
That does bring us to item number 3, the consent agenda.
So reconvening
I
as the
do
Solid
believe we
Waste
need to-
Authority.
Yeah, so well, we never changed out. So hey, we will reconvene as the Solid Waste Authority, close out on the, what is it, the Vehicle Abatement Authority.
Okay, so on the consent agenda today, we've got minutes and we've got a budget transfer. And this budget transfer, as usual, the last budget transfers of the year tend to be very large compared to other budget transfers. And that's because 2/3 of our operating budget is payment to Hambro. And so when tonnage is up at the transfer station, then both our income and expenses exceed our budget. So we address that issue by adding both balancing out budget lines that have remaining balances, and we also add projected income for the gate authority tipping fees and the gate tipping fees as income. So that balances it out, and staff recommend approval.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Having none, pull the vote.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Greeno,
Yes.
Chair Wilson.
Yes. Director's report.
Yes, thank you. So a couple things that are happening that didn't make it on the director's report. We are having ongoing security issues at the Del Norte County Transfer Station. We do have footage of the most recent break-ins and are working with the sheriff's office on that. So that's kind of an ongoing situation. Also, we'll continue to do investigations to see whether to pursue a legal counsel as Bob Black is retiring. We have not yet concluded those investigations or come up with the specific recommendations, I will return to a future authority meeting to do so.
So
Yes.
I'm sorry, I have a question about that. So what it seems to be the most the problem issue? What are these people breaking into the authority and getting? What are they going
Oh.
after?
Well,
And where is that stuff located?
yes. I, without sharing too much about the ongoing investigation, will say that the most recent break-in involved a vehicle.
Is it within the authority like walled area?
They broke in inside that area with a vehicle after hours. And most recently, it appears that bales of aluminum were taken in addition to other materials. So essentially, the intrusions and vandalism and thefts have increased. They've really upped their game. And so we are responding accordingly. We're deploying additional surveillance cameras. We do have surveillance of the folks who have broken in, so I believe we'll be able to pursue based on that evidence.
I mean, it seems like we've had several issues recently with people coming onto the grounds. Should we explore the idea of putting in a gate of some kind, an electronic rolling gate or something to seal it off when no one is there?
There's lots of issues to unpack there. I'm not entirely comfortable talking in detail about our security concerns in an open session. I believe there should be some other way that we can talk through these issues, but the short of it is they drove into the facility through an area that was not secured, and then they continued to damage some of the gates and other things that they needed to get through. And so they established 2 access points through gates, but they also drove onto the property after hours in a way that we didn't expect. So there's a number of issues to be dealt with, including adding additional cameras and to look at how we can stop this moving forward. The materials that were stolen from Hambros currently, but we are, like I said, working closely with the Sheriff's Department to secure that stolen property, as well as to improve our security.
Maybe we could agendize a item for closed session for next meeting, site security.
This isn't the first
Yeah.
time we're dealing with security issues with the transfer station, and I'm to be honest, I'm getting tired of it. So let's figure out a fix, please.
We share your concerns. So continuing on, director's report. Also coming on this month is the Del Norte County Fair. The fair, the authority continues to sponsor the fair, but we took a hard look at the staff time involved in staffing the booth and working with our other community partners. And essentially we decided not to try to do another booth this year, as we think that there might be better outreach opportunities for the amount of staff time invested in other venues. So we're going to give that a try this coming year. Looking at finances, we've got the budget transfer, which we already did. The county, as you may be aware, is implementing a new accounting system called the ERP accounting system. We're all trying to learn and adapt to that. There's a couple issues that probably the board should be aware of. Currently, our budget lines don't necessarily fit well into that new accounting system, so there's those issues. And significantly, Kathy Brewer, our office and gate manager, has said that a number of the activities under this new system essentially shift some of the work that was being done through the auditor's department onto her plate. And so we'll do the best we can with that, but it raises additional questions with regards to storage of documents and our processes by which we move through things. One of the things that we recently discussed, for instance, is our approval process of claims that are always require 2 signatures. That's in our bylaws, and but under the new claim program run by the county, those signatures aren't really required. We're still going to do that, and that we're going to use our old claims program and use the same program we've been using for the budget transfers, and we'll get all the signatures, but once we get those, they'll be scanned and just attached to the other accounting system document. So going through that process, the grants, we just before this meeting, we had a meeting from 1 to 3 o'clock here, shepherded by the Del Norte Solid Waste Task Force, and working with our contractor, the Del Norte and Adjacent Tribal Lands Food Council. And good productive meeting. We plan on having additional meetings, and I think it would be worthwhile and fundable under the grant to have the Del Food Council shepherd through an additional 2 meetings focusing specifically on food rescue and redistribution. There are a number of groups that are working on this area, including the Del Food Council, but they're not as smoothly coordinated as they might be, and we all need to get them into the same reporting system, because moving forward, we will have to document this and report it to CalRecycle. So we're working on all of those issues, but I anticipate at the next board meeting, we'll be bringing forth a change order with the Del Food Council for those additional 2 meetings. Looking at agenda, unfortunately, agenda item 8.1, which we'll be seeing later, is a do-over in that we adopted the rate ordinance, and unfortunately, the rate sheet that I copied for Recology was not consistent with the change order 24, which was adopted. So we need to do that one over, make sure that we're adopting the right rate orders. I apologize for that, but it's important that we get that right. Let's see, moving on. Agenda item 8.3 is a professional services agreement with Will Folger to assist with negotiations with the SEIU 1021 that are coming up. We are continuing conversations with Recology regarding the changes in the list of the acceptable recyclable materials. We want to send a clear message to the community about what is recyclable, what is not, when we're making this change, how we're making this change. And so we're working out the details so that when we make this announcement, we make it once. So we have not yet worked out those details. I anticipate we'll do that in the coming week. On 4th of June, there was a hydraulic leak from the loader into the brush pile. We're doing follow-up to make sure that we had that as much learning as we could from that experience. Yes?
I'm sorry to interrupt you again, Ted.
No worries.
When we do send out that information, is there a way that we get updated stickers on I don't know, something to put on the garbage cans themselves when people, or the recycling bins, when people open it up, see, hey, this is what you put in, this is what you don't.
Thank you for that excellent suggestion. I totally agree. And yes, we will do that. And that's exactly the kind of thing we're working on. So that when we roll this out, we're all clear, we all agree, we all have the same stickers we've already approved, and this is the date which we're making this change. So yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Let's see, moving on. We have the authority budget as agenda item 8.2. And I will be attending my last SB 54 advisory group meeting this Friday, where I'm making a presentation to Zoe Heller, Director of CalRecycle, as well as legislative representatives. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Nope. Having none?
Okay. Moving on, financial reports. The balance sheet, item 4.2, shows that we have 3.1 million in the bank, plus 198,000 for last month's rent. So that's just like looking at the checking account balance. So that's a snapshot in time. Looking at our AR aging summary, you can see that the only accounts that have gone over 90 days have already been turned over to collections. Thanks to Kathy Brewer for keeping up on those accounts. Looking at claims approved by director, you will see that our largest payments, once again, to go to Hambro WSG for the good services they provide at the Del Norte County Transfer Station. And the next largest expenditures are to the county auditor for the interfund cost plan to pay for auditing personnel and IT services, and then followed by EBA Engineering payment for their work on the 5-year review of the transfer station. So that's that financial report. Item 4.4 shows how we did in the month of May. And generally, summer months tend to be more, it appears in my agenda, I had a personnel evaluation included. That shouldn't be there. If it is in yours, please remove it. Things happen. And copying. Anyway, so finally, looking at the authority revenue report, item 4.5, you can see that our authority service fees are coming in about $93,000 ahead of budget, and the franchise fees are coming in about $25,000 ahead of budget. With 1 month left to go, it looks like we're approximately $118,697 ahead of budget in our revenue line. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Item 8.1 is, like I said, the do-over resolution. This is the resolution adjusting rates, and we've already worked with Merle Heltowski, who will be updating our rate signs. This is consistent with the information we're providing customers about how we anticipate rates will change. And I do apologize to Recology for accidentally copying the wrong form on the last version, and I apologize to the board for that mistake as well. But we can make it right, and no one has been incorrectly charged at this point. So I'd recommend that we approve Resolution 2025-04.
I would move we approve 2025-04.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions from the public? Public comment? Seeing none?
So I had one question for Recology. For the residential, the base rate for the garbage, does that also cover one recycling bin?
It does.
Okay. So any additional recycling bin is going to be the extra charge, correct?
If you get a larger size bin. So for instance, the basic service is a 30-gallon trash cart and a 30-gallon recycling cart. And you get that collected once a week for $37.13 a month.
Okay.
That is the basic service. If you say want a 60-gallon recycling cart, then you would pay an additional $6.05.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay.
And my only query is as we go forward, including in these reports on the rate changes, is I like to monitor the effects of those rate changes. If we see a sudden increase in dropping off contracts, cancelings, et cetera, and if it becomes a problematic issue for where we see our numbers drop off at the weigh stations, because a lot of people go from paying Recology to self-hauling.
Mm-hmm.
But if we see our disposal numbers as far as the weight, amount of tonnage dropping, then that would be a concern for us.
We do monitor that for what it's worth, and I can report that, for instance, in the first quarter of 2025, little over 52% of the tonnage received was self-haul. So that includes commercial customers other than Recology, but it's a self-haul is the bulk of the tonnage moving through the Delaware County Transit.
And where were we, let's say 15 years or do you have those numbers?
It was a little bit more, but not much more. It was 55 to 60% of the tonnage was self-haul. So Recology has gained some customers proportionally, but still more than half of our materials managed are from self-haul.
Yeah. And the other thing besides tonnage is just number of contracts. If Recology is if they start dropping numbers, losing, actual customers, so to speak,
I'll
that
just
would be a
open the
concern
door
for us
to to Chandra and John. If you ever see those things, we can have that conversation.
Yeah, because like you say, eventually you hit that, you're going to hit that point where people say it's not, I'm going to buy more food or more gas, and I'm going to forego paying for my self haul, my collected haul, and then we have a problem with a lot of extra dumpage going on in our communities if it's not seen tacking up the numbers in self hauling. So
I agree. We don't want to be pricing out people of their garbage service because of overcharging. So I share your concern.
eventually you hit that sweet.
Yeah, and I kind of mentioned this at our last meeting. It's why I kind of favor the process that we do is just we base it on CPI. It's just that. It's a few percent every year. So it's not a great big jump, great big hit for the consumer. So.
Well, it is for commercial. I mean, our commercial numbers are when you're looking at a 10-ton bin and you're going $4,000 a month, that's a lot of money for small businesses to have to put out if they're, because I know, if you were a customer and now you're not a customer. Plus, those are paying. I mean, the reason why we adjusted the reason why it was done that way was hopefully that commercial would offset and be a bigger revenue drain or revenue coming in, then the residentials will get a cut in their costs, and it would be bore by commercial. Problem is at some point that may end up being, it may be a drop off in commercial businesses actually supplying and utilizing our services, ecology services, and then again it would be reflected in your tonnage and self hauling. So just keep an eye on it, because again, if it becomes a problem for those that can't afford, especially the residential, then it all ends up down the side of the hill going into Blue Creek. So. We have a motion and a second. Please pull the vote.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Greeno,
Yes.
Chair Wilson.
Yes. God, took my glasses off. Okay. And April 2, public hearing following discussions, possible approval of we already did, of the budget for the fiscal year 25-26.
So this was introduced at the last board meeting, and since then it has been presented to the city council and to the board of supervisors. I appreciate Lopez's review. He did point out that the totals that I included for fiscal year 24-25 were incorrect based on the numbers, and I appreciate that review, though. The reason why I missed that is that I don't actually use those as guidance for doing this, because I look at line by line rather than the subtotals, which are not officially part of the budget. So I apologize for the mistake, but none of the budget lines have changed at all from what you initially saw, just the subtotals. So staff recommend review and approval. It was reviewed by the Board of Supervisors without comment, and the City Council actually approved the budget.
Entertain a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have to officially hold a public hearing, so hold it, call.
Is there any public comment? Get back to the board.
I move we adopt the proposed budget for fiscal year 24-25. Oh,
Have a motion? Second?
Second.
Second?
that's not right. 25-26. Sorry.
25-26, yes.
The recommendation is has the wrong years posted in the.
Oh, right. Good point. Thank you for catching that.
Yep. That's right. In the staff report, it just, and under the recommendations, it says 24-25. But I would like us to pass 25-26.
That's the kind of vision we look for in
Thank you.
leadership.
I'll
That's
second that.
leadership right there.
We have a motion and a second to pass the 25-26 budget. Please poll the vote.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Greeno,
Yes.
Chair Wilson.
Yes. Brings us to 3.8, discussion and possible action regarding professional services agreement with Will Folger, services regarding labor relations, the amount not to exceed $7,500.
We'll move to approve.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any public comment? Hearing and seeing none. Poll the vote.
Commissioner Tompkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Short.
Yes.
Commissioner Greeno.
Yes.
Chair Wilson.
Yes. Brings us to 8.4, discussion of possible action regarding canceling the regular authority meeting of July 15th, 2025, and scheduling the next special authority meeting, 4 p.m., July 22nd, 2025.
That works on my calendar, so I would move we approve.
That works for me as well.
And Kylie says the room is available.
I will be here for that. Yes. So July 22nd. Works for everybody?
Yes.
Consensus
All
direction, got it.
That brings us to the adjournment on the regular meeting for the Del Norte Solid Waste Management Authority, scheduled 4 p.m. Tuesday, July 22nd, here at the Flynn Center.